I have to admit, looking at this research, I realized I've been using the wrong vocabulary for like 20 years. Whenever my computer slows down or I get a weird pop-up, my brain just defaults to one word: virus.
It's like saying, I have a germ.
That is the perfect analogy. It's the generic term for this massive, messy ecosystem. But if you walk into a hospital and tell the doctor, I have a germ, they can't really help you, can they? A bacteria is treated differently than a virus, which is, totally different from a parasite.
And in the digital world, that distinction actually matters for survival.
It absolutely does. Because if you treat a ransomware attack like a simple computer virus, you're going to lose everything. If you treat a rootkit like a standard bug, you'll never even find it. The jungle of malware is diverse. You've got ambush predators, you've got spies, you have parasites.
So today we're looking at Chapter 3 of our security source material, but we're treating it like a field guide to these digital predators. We're going to break down deceivers, extortionists, spies, and ghosts. And I want to start with a category that frankly scares me the most because of how manipulative it is: the deceivers. We're talking about trojans. And if you remember the Trojan horse, the myth, the Greeks didn't break down the walls of Troy. They tricked the Trojans into opening the gates for them.
And that is the defining characteristic. A Trojan cannot infect you on its own. It has no mechanism to force its way onto your hard drive. It requires you to be the accomplice. It needs you to click install.
But nobody clicks install malware.
No, of course not. They click install free screensaver or install game cheat or, and this is a big one lately, install better version of popular app.
The source material highlighted the triad Trojan. This is the one that went after the WhatsApp users, right?
This is just a masterclass in social engineering. So imagine you use WhatsApp, you like it, but maybe you wish it had different themes or better emojis.
Or allow larger file transfers.
Exactly. So you search around and you find a modded version of WhatsApp on some third-party store.
And it looks like the real deal.
It looks identical. It functions identically. You can chat with your friends, send pictures. But while you're chatting, the app is quietly harvesting your device ID, your subscriber ID, your MSE address. It's registering your phone with a central command server.
What is it, just stealing data?
It's just the setup.
Yeah.
Once it's entrenched, Triada starts the monetization phase. It can inject invisible ads or, and this is where it really hits your wallet, it can silently sign you up for premium SMS subscriptions.
But how does it even work? Wouldn't you get like a text message saying, "Welcome to Daily Horoscope for $9.99"?
You might. But a sophisticated Trojan can intercept that incoming SMS, confirm the subscription for you, and then delete the message before you ever see it.
Wow.
You don't know you're bleeding money until you check your phone bill a month later.
So you're paying for the privilege of being hacked.
Exactly. And that's the consumer side. In the corporate world, the Trojan takes a different form, the RAT.
Remote access Trojan.
Right. Now think about when you have IT problems. You call tech support and they say, hey, download this little tool so I can move your mouse and fix the driver.
Yeah, I've done that a dozen times.
RAT is the exact same technology. It gives an outsider total control mouse, keyboard, webcam, files. The problem is, to a security firewall, a legitimate support tool and a malicious RAT look almost identical.
So the firewall sitting there thinking, well, it looks like I invited tech support in, while the hacker's just emptying the hard drive.
Precisely. It creates this massive headache for security teams. If you block all remote tools, no work gets done. But if you allow them, you risk letting in RAT. It's the ultimate disguise because, it looks like work.
Okay, so that's the stuff that tricks you into opening the door. But once the door's open, the game changes. Sometimes they don't want to hide. Sometimes they want to lock you in the room and just scream at you until you pay. Welcome to the world of ransomware. This feels like what we hear about constantly or see on those hospital television series or city governments getting hit. But reading the research, the business model has evolved way beyond just locking your files, hasn't it?
It has. 5-10 years ago, it was simple. A program encrypted your vacation photos and documents, and a pop-up said, send 1 Bitcoin to get the key. It was a transaction.
And now?
Now it's a full-blown hostage negotiation with psychological warfare. The gangs realize that companies have backups, so if you lock their files, they just wipe the machines and restore from that backup.
So the threat was kind of empty.
It was losing its teeth. So the bad guys pivoted to what's called double extortion.
Which means
First, they steal all your sensitive data. Then they encrypt it. So if you say, I'm not paying, I have backups, they say, fine. Then we're going to release all your customers' private medical records or your embarrassing internal emails to the public.
so it's blackmail.
It's reputation destruction. The source mentions the Royal ransomware variant, which CISA flagged. These groups are professional. They have customer service desks. You can chat with them. They'll negotiate the price.
Oh, that's just bizarre. It's like, hello, thank you for calling Criminal Enterprises. That's ruining your life. How may I direct your call?
It sounds like a joke, but it's completely real. They want a reputation for good service. If word gets out that a certain ransomware gang doesn't give you the key after you pay, nobody will pay them. They have a brand to protect.
That's somehow a lot darker than I expected. So, the million-dollar question, I feel I know the answer, but I have to ask. If you get hit, do you pay?
Well, in the boardroom, the official advice is always don't pay. It funds terrorism, it encourages more attacks. But when you are losing $1 million an hour because your factory shut down or patients are being turned away from the ER, the moral high ground crumbles pretty fast.
So people pay.
People pay all the time. But here's the kicker. Paying doesn't guarantee safety. Sometimes they just ask for more money. Sometimes the decryptor tool they give you is buggy and corrupts the files anyway.
So what is the actual defense? If they can lock you out and blackmail you, is there any way to be safe?
There is only one silver bullet for ransomware, the offline backup.
Fine offline. I have a backup drive plugged into my computer back at my desk on my USB port.
Then you don't have a backup, you have a future victim. If that drive is connected when the ransomware hits, it gets encrypted right along with your main drive. Offline means air-gapped, unplugged, sitting in a fireproof box.
I'm literally going to unplug that drive as soon as we finish this recording. Okay, let's pivot. We've talked about malware that needs a user. You download the Trojan or click some type of phishing link for ransomware. But the source material also talks about a category that doesn't need us at all. The self-propagating worms. This stuff is like sci-fi movies. How is a worm different than a virus or a Trojan?
A Trojan needs a host program and a user to click it. A worm is an automaton. It's a standalone program. Once it's on a network, it just looks for other computers, copies itself over, and moves on. It spreads like a biological flu in a crowded room. You don't have to touch anyone to get sick. You just have to be breathing the same air.
Okay, you can't talk about worms without talking about the digital heist of the century, Stuxnet.
Specifically, the uranium enrichment facility at Natanz. This facility was air-gapped.
Not connected to the internet at all.
Right. You couldn't hack it from a basement in Langley or Tel Aviv.
Now walk us through this because the details in the notes are just wild.
The human element. It was brought in on an infected USB thumb drive, probably unknowingly by an engineer or a contractor. The worm jumps from the USB to the computer. But here's the genius part. It didn't just blow things up immediately. It waited.
It was hunting.
It was hunting for a very specific configuration of Siemens industrial controllers that ran the centrifuges, the spinning machines that separate uranium. Once it found them, it launched a man-in-the-middle attack.
This is the Ocean's 11 part.
It really is. So the worm takes control of the centrifuges and tells them to spin dangerously fast, then slow down, then fast again. It's physically tearing the machines apart. But, and this is the brilliance of it, it recorded the data from normal operations.
So the guys in the control room are looking at their screens.
And the screens say everything is fine, speed is normal, temperature is normal.
Yeah.
They're watching a pre-recorded loop of everything is okay while the machines in the next room are literally disintegrating.
That is terrifying. It's gaslighting on an industrial scale.
That code can destroy physical things.
Now, Stuxnet was over a decade ago. Is that method still used, or was that just a one-off?
Oh, it's still here. The source mentions a modern worm called Raspberry Robin.
Which sounds like a delicious ice cream flavor. Or yogurt if you're into that sort of thing.
Which is exactly why you might not suspect it. It spreads via USB drives, just like Stuxnet. It uses LNK files, shortcut files, to trick Windows into installing it. It's a reminder that even in the age of the cloud, a physical thumb drive is still a deadly weapon.
Which actually leads us perfectly into the next category. We tend to think of malware as code lines of text on a screen. But the source had this anecdote about college campuses that just blew my mind. The hardware keylogger.
Yes, this is a great story.
So tell us what happened.
Well, normally a keylogger is software. It's a spy program that records every letter you type to steal your passwords. But antivirus is getting pretty good at finding those.
Yeah.
So some enterprising fraudsters went low-tech.
How low tech?
Physical. The authors mention finding these little devices plugged into the back of classroom computers. You unplug the keyboard, plug in this little dongle, and then plug the keyboard into the dongle.
It's a bug.
Yeah.
A literal physical wiretap.
Exactly. It intercepts the electrical signals from the keyboard before they even reach the computer. The software on the computer has no idea it's there because it's happening outside the box.
And the students were using this to steal professors' logins.
To change grades, yes. But think about the corporate implication. If you can walk into a bank or an office, reach behind a PC, and plug one of these in, you own that machine.
That's a sobering reminder. You actually should look back at your computer tower once in a while. Okay, since we're on the subject of spies, let's talk about the software side. Spyware.
The goal of spyware is the complete opposite of ransomware. Ransomware wants you to know it's there. Spyware fails if you notice it. It wants to keep the computer running perfectly so it can watch you.
And the most disturbing version of this is stalkerware.
This is a massive ethical crisis. This is software marketed to everyday people, often sold as child safety apps, but used to track spouses or partners. It records your location, texts, calls. It can even turn on the microphone. It is weaponized intimacy.
It's horrific. And on the high end, you have things like Pegasus, which governments use. But I want to get to the category that seems the most technically difficult to deal with, the ghosts. The hiders.
You mean rootkits?
Rootkits. Even the name sounds like it's digging in deep.
It is. So imagine you hire a security guard to patrol your house and tell you if there are any burglars.
So?
Now imagine the burglar is the security guard.
I see the problem.
That's a rootkit. It compromises the operating system itself, the very bottom layer of reality for your computer. When you open your task manager or your antivirus and ask, is there any bad code running? The operating system checks. But since the rootkit controls the OS, it just replies, nope, coast is clear, all while it's uploading your data to a server somewhere.
So the tools lie to you.
The tools lie because the environment they live in is compromised. The source mentions ATM rootkits. They infect the bank machine, and when the bank runs a diagnostic, the ATM reports all systems normal. Meanwhile, it's skimming every card that goes in.
If the computer lies, how do you catch it?
You can't catch it from the inside. You have to shut the computer down, pull out the hard drive, and scan it from a different, trusted computer. You have to look at it from the outside.
It sounds incredibly labor-intensive.
It is, but it gets worse. We're also seeing fileless viruses.
This was a part of the research where I felt like we really entered the matrix. How can you have a virus with no file?
Traditional antivirus scans your hard drive looking for bad files. It says, oh, there's bad.exe, delete it. Fileless malware lives entirely in the RAM, the temporary memory. It never writes itself to the hard drive.
RAM gets wiped when I reboot my machine. So if I turn my computer off, the ghost dies.
You would hope, but they leave a persistence mechanism. Think of it like a sticky note left in the Windows registry, the computer's instruction manual. The sticky note just says, hey, as soon as you wake up, run this command to download the virus again, right back into memory.
That's the perfect analogy. And because there's no file on the hard drive, traditional scanners often miss it completely.
Okay, we have surveyed the battlefield. We have deceptive trojans, extortionist ransomware, world-breaking worms, physical hardware spies, and lying rootkits. I'm ready to throw my laptop in a river.
Don't do that just yet.
Tell me there is a way to fight this. The source material has a section on defense.
It does. There are tools. We have the war room tools like VirusTotal, where you can upload a suspicious file and have it checked by like 50 different antivirus engines at once. We have sandboxing, where we detonate the malware in a safe glass box to see what it does.
I sense a but coming.
The but is that for many of these advanced threats, rootkits, deep logic bombs, persistent fileless malware, just cleaning isn't enough.
Why not? Just delete the bad code.
Because you can never be 100% sure you got it all. Did it leave a back door? Did it change a setting deep in the OS? Mm-hmm. If your house was infested with termites and you sprayed some bug spray, would you really feel safe? Or would you always worry the foundation was eaten away?
So what's the solution?
The nuclear option. Wipe the drive, reformat, reinstall the operating system from a known good source. It is painful. It takes hours. Nobody likes doing it. But if you've been hit by a rootkit, it is the only way to be sure you are clean.
This is the hard truth. Antivirus is a shield.
Exactly. But there is one thing more effective than any shield.
The source material landed on this.
Awareness.
Awareness. Look at every single example we talked about today. Stuxnet. Someone had to pick up a USB drive. Triada. Someone had to download the shady app. Ransomware. Someone had to click the link or leave the remote port open.
We are the weak link.
We are also the first line of defense. So if you understand that free WhatsApp Gold is probably a trap, you don't install it. If you understand that random USB drive in the parking lot is a weapon, you don't plug it in.
It puts the responsibility back on us, which is, I guess, empowering, but also terrifying.
Welcome to cybersecurity.
I want to leave everyone with a thought that struck me while reading about Stuxnet jumping that air gap. We build these walls, firewalls, air gaps, passwords. But if a simple thumb drive can hop a wall, and if a legitimate tool, like a remote access program, can be used as a weapon, is any system actually secure?
That's the question, isn't it?
Or we're just managing the time until the inevitable breach happens?
The thing most security pros would say, assume the breach is coming. It's not about if, it's about when and how fast you can recover.
On that cheery note, unplug your backup drives, check the back of your computer towers, and for the love of all that is holy, don't download modded apps.
Thanks again for joining us in the Deep Zone for another deep dive. Until next time.
Thanks for listening to The Deep Dive.
Stay safe out there.
This is Lux, Micah, and Nadi saying, stay classy, Internet.